Good morning, folks. Another part of my review for the Red Book of Magic. We're going to finish C this time. Okay, so new spell, Create Revenant. Pretty cool. Binds the soul of a departed Zraxaran Death Lord back into their specially prepared body. Takes 1 point of power from the caster. I'm assuming that's permanent. And all of the power of the Death Lord. If the Death Lord does not consent, the spell fails. We could have said that up front, right? This ritual binds the soul of the consenting departed Zraxaran Death Lord. So it has to be a Death Lord? It can't just be an initiate? I guess not. You wouldn't want it. You'd save it for Death Lords anyway, right? But this reminds me of I was either doing or contemplating a conversion of I think it was a D&D module, something about the Lizard King, I6 or something like that. But anyway, or we were reading about dark troll mummies, right? Because dark trolls are so tough and strong, and mummies double their strength. Holy cow, what's going on with this? This is monstrous. They're going to tear things apart. And one of them is a great troll, you know, that kind of stuff, right? Great Revenant. Traveling through the mausoleum underground, and there's all these prepared death bodies. Okay, create shadows. Same from the old book, nothing new here. Create skeleton. Bones of a victim. I don't know if victim is the right necessary word, but it has to be a dead body, right? The bones of somebody who's dead. With the victim's old skill levels, limited of dex times 5, they're a mindless animated construct. Well, if they're a mindless animated construct, why is it limited to the victim's old skills? I would say limited to the new creature's dex times 5. Which reminds me, size 2d6 plus 6, good to go. Whatever the creature is, right? But the strength is 1d4 plus 8. Where did that come from? So that's 9 to 12. That's one standard deviation of 3d6. Somebody was thinking. Okay, create War Tree, another new spell. Says once you've done a create War Tree, it can then be affected by the animate War Tree spell, which we discussed earlier. But only if it's cast by the create War Tree's spells caster. It's tied together. You can only do your tree, right? But it does say here that several different individuals can each cast create war tree on a single tree if desired. So if your forest guard is a dozen guys and there's a dozen of they each pick out a special tree to be their create war tree, and they all cast create war tree on all 12 of those, then when it comes time to be invaded, anybody can activate any of the trees. Only issue with that is create war tree is a one-use spell. You want 12 people to burn a rune point, a permanent rune point, on just one tree. That's a bit. I wouldn't do that. Not cost effective. Okay, create Whirlvish. This is apparently a creature from the Glorantha bestiary, which I'm not familiar with. I haven't come across yet. But it takes the spirit of a person that was slain by the caster and creates this Whirlvish thing, right? But the ritual again, right? Plus 35, takes an hour. Performed under the desert sky. It takes all night to finish and culminates with the murder of the person to be crushed. Cool. Create wildfire, no issues there. Create zombie, another new spell. I'm assuming these are all Zraxaranian. Although there are some other chaos cults that create zombies and stuff too. Yeah, I remember reading that because I had to go off of the old Cults of Prax, Cults of Chaos, right? Cults of Chaos book, the old Cults of Chaos book. I've got a PDF of it that I printed out, so I've been using that for some of my bad cults. But apparently, the new Cults book will have all the bad guys in it too. Okay, so newly slain victim gives them the equivalent of strength and vigor spells. The zombies do not have the spirit of the original owner bound to them. They are mindless magical constructs, like skeletons, right? 2 2-point rune spell, permanent strength and vigor spells, animated corpse. Pretty cost effective here. Okay, cremate dead, same from the original list, nothing new there. Crush. Now, I know this spell. That's because I have a copy of the manuscript for the cults book that we got back in Gen Con a couple years ago, and um, I've used Dark Trolls in my game, and they're all, well, not all, but some of them are initiates of Kagalitor. So Crush is one of the first spells, so that's why I know this spell. This is cool. It's like Slash, it can be cast only on a blunt weapon, plus 10% to hit, plus 1d4 damage, stackable. So now, my Glorantha, I would treat this 1d4 as a damage bonus damage, not a weapon bonus damage. So if you actually did a special success crush, this 1d4 would become 4 plus 1d4. But that's my Glorantha. Okay, cure all disease, same. Cure chaos wound, same. Cure iron wound is like cure chaos wound, right? But it's used against wounds that are caused by iron weapons. So you cast it simultaneously with some kind of heal or cure wound. Well, with either heal or cure wound. Probably some sorcery spell for that too. Simultaneously cast. In which case, this 1-point rune spell provides all of the magic points necessary to heal all of the iron wound damage. Iron weapon wound damage. So if you cast it with Cure Wounds, no magic points, but all that damage from iron weapons is healed. If it was like a heal 3, then you'll heal 3 points of damage from an iron weapon, but no magic point cost. So this got me thinking, cast simultaneously. Does that mean you need to roll for both? You do the rune roll for the Cure Iron Burn, and you do, the power times 5 for the heal 3. I'm not thinking so, but then I started thinking, maybe this is like horsemanship in fighting from horseback. It's the lower of the two. Okay. Cure poison's the same. Curse of Thed. New spell. Over there come their power. Then it says, if the victim fails to resist, if you cast a spell and you overcome their power, by definition, they fail to resist. So I'm not sure why that if is in there, right? But Curse of Thed table, and they suffer these effects, which they cannot resist. Well, they can't resist it because they've already failed to resist because you overcame their power. There's a lot of resistance stuff going in here that I'm not sure why it's there. Characteristics cannot be reduced below 1, and hit points cannot be brought down to below 0 in any one area. Okay, so you can get limbs to 0. Okay. Non-stackable, 2-point spell. However, it can be cast as a one-use spell on creatures tainted with chaos, in which case the effects, unless they're instant effects, become permanent. Initially, I thought about this, losing stats kind of thing. That becomes permanent. So it's kind of like you can use it as an offensive spell, but it's a chaos spell. So why would you use it against other chaos creatures? Oh, maybe there's inter-chaos conflicts. There we go. Okay. Cyclical characteristic. Again, characteristics in parentheses. So cyclical strength, cyclical con, cyclical dex, cyclical size. Even that's interesting. Or charisma or intelligence or power. Physical stats, strength, con, size, and dex cost 2 rune points. Mental, emotional stats, charisma, intelligence, power cost 3. It's cool. But it ties those stats, that specific stat, right, to the phases of the moon. It's a lunar spell, right? So on a full moon, your character's increased by half. Imagine having your power increased by half during the full moon. That's to make some powerful sorcerers, right? Or magical users of any form, right? Can make some pretty hefty monsters too, especially if you cast each of those characteristics, right? Full moon, strength increased by half, con by half, size by half, dex by half, charisma by half, intelligence by half, power by half. Almost hero stuff, right? That is cool, but that's 17 magic points, or magic points, 17 rune points. Well, this thing lasts for a week, by the way. So it lasts through the entire phase of the moon. Unless you stack it. For each point you stack, it doubles the duration. Now, I am assuming they mean by that each point you stack increases the duration by a week instead of 1 point makes 2 weeks, 2 points makes 4 weeks. That can get out of control. But maybe. Interesting. But that ends our C spells with a capital C. Happy gaming.